I find that hard to believe because, girl,
You
you
can
be
ask
like,
her.
you like Five Nights at Freddy's.
What does that mean?
So, after 8.5 years of on and on announcements, progression, and production, the FNAF movie has finally came out, something I'm sure a good chunk of fans have been waiting an eternity for. And honestly, I didn't really know what to expect myself when I saw it. There was a lot of memes going around poking fun about how bad the movie might be because of the PG-13 rating, and given the graphic effects and the lore, the PG-13 rating was a little surprising, but I also kind of understand. Since FNAF was pretty much a hit with kids back then and even more now, it only made sense for Blumhouse to want to appeal to all audiences, whether the story itself was dark or not. So, how was it? Well, most critics hated the movie, said it wasn't scary, and it wasn't like the games, which is a little silly. Did they just expect a security guard to just silently sit and survive for the entire duration of the movie? But there was also a lot of people, specifically the actual audience for FNAF, that really didn't like the movie. They hated it, they wanted it rated R, they wanted the ominously dark atmosphere that the original games had, which I also wanted as well, but I'll be completely honest, the movie really wasn't that bad, and here's my review on it. Major spoilers ahead, by the way. Josh Hutcherson, you know, Peter from the Hunger Games, honestly fits so well as a security guard in my opinion. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just works. The entire premise of him having a traumatic experience with his little brother getting kidnapped and tying it back to Freddy's in some way, I think really was pulled off very nicely and genuinely is a nice setup for what Mike's role in the movies could be. It could be something like him seeing the events in Freddy's going on and wanting to get to the bottom of it, not only because of how evil Afton is, but also for the sake of finding more about his brother's disappearance, and probably getting closure for himself. I think the setup for him getting a job at Freddy's, since he had no other option after his last job's incident, didn't feel forced, honestly, so props to Blumhouse for finding a way to make it work better than I expected. The actress for Abby actually did a pretty good job acting like a child. Most child actors obviously don't know how to act per se, but she made her emotions and feelings feel very believable, so props to her too. Actually, to be honest, all the actors in the movie did pretty good. Aunt Jane was insufferable. Max and the group of people that ended up helping her out trashed the pizzeria, they were pretty fine too. And the souls of the kids were honestly great, specifically Golden Freddy. They really encapsulated the rage and vengeance that Golden Freddy has in the lore, so I definitely love that. And speaking of Golden Freddy and just animatronics in general, the animatronics looked phenomenal. From the movements to the texturing of the fabric on them, they honestly hit the mark with them. Even the red eyes that we originally saw in the trailer weren't that bad. I really didn't even think about them until after the movie. The cupcake was honestly the MVP, by the way. If you know, you know. Something I wanted to quickly mention, a friend pointed out how in the scene when one of the guys that was trashing Freddy's was in the kitchen and the cupcake distracted him, the wall behind the guy where the fan is, you can actually see Chica walk past this, which I just thought was a nice touch because they could have just made her randomly appear, so I really like that detail. Now to address the two biggest elephants in the room, Vanessa and Afton. Introducing Vanessa this early on is obviously to set her up for her role later on in what I imagine would be a series of FNAF movies, since her debut in Security Breach seems to make her the successor of Afton, given that they are actually father and daughter. And although she definitely acts weird in this movie,
You ever bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you.
it honestly might get even weirder after her recovery from the stab wound she gets from her father. Bro really turned his back on family.
You had one job. One. Keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close.
That's 2 jobs.
Now Afton was introduced so late into the movie, I felt the presence of him appearing didn't hit as hard as it should, because he was taken out the moment he showed himself to Mike. But the suit and the overall vibe he gave when he was first introduced was pretty good either way. I don't know why, but my first time watching this, I was surprised that the guy at the beginning was actually him, but the second time watching it, I liked the callback to his reaction when he read Mike's name and realizing he was the older brother of the kid he killed those many years ago. The spring lock scene was actually shown in the movie, but obviously given the rating, it was nothing special. But it's still cool that it ended up happening. One thing I wish they did with the scene was to have Afton alone with the animatronics instead of having Mike, Abby, and Vanessa just there. I just felt like it took out the overall vibe of what the original lore had. I'm kind of conflicted with the Ford scene because on one hand, I get that the souls of the kids are still kids, but on the other hand, they never really did any of those things in the lore, so it's almost a blend between justified and goofy. But I also have to remember that Scott Cawthon tends to sprinkle in a few lighthearted and silly moments in his games, so I have to honestly say it's not that bad in my opinion. Also, I will never understand the war cry Freddy did at the end here, honestly, but it was funny, I guess. By the way, is this right here a Sparky the dog fake leak reference? Because if it is, please let me know down in the comments. I really have no idea. I feel like that's what it is, but if this is what I think it is, Blumhouse really has my respect fully. Overall, I thought the movie was a little underwhelming, but it genuinely could have been worse. Honestly, I think this was a good start though, because Blumhouse could have probably learned from this success, and we might even get to see some more darker scenes in the next movie, which I personally can't wait for, since FNAF 2 is literally my favorite game in the series. I am also looking forward to how they tackle the story with these films, because no amount of game theories could ever never fully explained the original lore, unfortunately. But if you have any thoughts about how the movie turned out, things you liked, hated, anything at all, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely wanting to hear your thoughts on the movie. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot. Last video did...
Almost a black ball over there. Everything is still being shaped before when I did the fire.
Last video went absolutely insane. Thank you guys for all the support and growth. It's honestly hard to believe the numbers. It genuinely surprised me when I woke up the very next day to see like 10,000 views. So thank you guys. Let's keep going. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Finish A out.
Perfect.